Last drink of water here. It is Covalon, yes. COVA. Yeah. I'm ready whenever you are.
Good afternoon, everybody. Now presenting Brent Ashton with Covalon.
Thank you, Juan, and thanks to everyone here today. It's great to be here in Las Vegas. Brent Ashton, the CEO for Covalon Technologies, and it's my sincere privilege to be able to talk to you today a little bit more about the company. And I'd like to start by thanking you for all coming here today from parts from all over, probably North America. I've met a few people from Europe as well. So great to be here, great to speak to you. Of course, here you'll see the obligatory slide on forward-looking statements. You can always read this in more, you're either a quick reader or you can read it more in depth on our website. But I'm really excited to be here today to talk to you about our company. In our time here together, I'm going to provide you a view of Covalon, kind of what we do, how the products you see here on the screen make such a big difference to patients and to the clinicians who serve them, and tell you a little bit about where we're going as well. And then knowing why you're all here in Las Vegas, I'm going to share with you why I think you should invest in Covalon. So at Covalon, we have an extremely strong conviction that patients shouldn't have to suffer. Listen, getting sick sucks. None of us like to get sick. Going to the hospital because you're sick or some other type of provider, it's never a, hey, I wake up in the morning and this is what I want to do today. And one of the things that really sucks about, getting treatment is you enter for, getting treated on one thing or the other, but end up with a whole different complication or challenge as a result of your episode of care. And as an example here, I'll give you two examples. One is, you've got some breathing issues and you enter the hospital, turns out you've got pneumonia. So you get admitted to the ICU. And during your stay there in the ICU, they're probably going to put an IV line in you. But along the way, like hundreds of thousands of patients every year, you develop a bloodstream infection. Best case here, you spend an extra week or two in the ICU, a lot of drugs, and then you return home. And that's your best case scenario. Because 15 to 20% of the time, you don't go home, you die in the hospital. Obviously, horrible outcome, no real good solution, no good outcomes here. Or, on the other side, you have a small wound on your lower leg that for a variety of reasons, your body just doesn't naturally heal. This wound gets a little bit larger and larger, and maybe along the way it gets infected. And then pretty soon your doctor tells you that they can't salvage your leg and you have to have an amputation. Horrible, horrible challenges. And so the bad news, there is some good news, but the bad news, these complications you see up here, they're alarmingly common. They lead to a whole cascade of challenges you can see. Pain, anxiety or depression. I talked about death. And they cost the healthcare system billions, tens of billions of dollars. I said there was some good news. Good news. These are all largely preventable. And every day, Covalon team members are working really hard to help our customers prevent these complications from happening. And it isn't just Covalon who thinks that these are big issues. HCA, one of the largest providers in the US, their corporate bonuses were announced this year, and you can see them here, it's public. They're tied to things like infection prevention and the care experience, two huge areas of focus for Covalon. And ECRI, this is an organization, maybe flies a little under the radar, but they're laser focused on ensuring the safest possible healthcare experiences. They recently highlighted in their 2025 top 10 patient safety concerns that the number one patient safety issue is the risk of dismissing patient concerns. Number one, ahead of things like substandard drugs or diagnostic errors. And at Covalon, we see this a lot, where our products play a significant role in addressing patient challenges, patient concerns about pain and trauma associated with the standard of care that Covalon is actively disrupting. And how do we prevent these challenging outcomes? I'll tell you a little more about some of our products here in the next two slides. On the advanced wound care front, some massive challenges with wounds that won't heal on their own. Tens of millions of patients, significant life-altering issues, and again, lots of spend. Just in the US, tens of billions of dollars. And our Covalon's unique and patent-protected collagen dressing formulation is a huge winner here, helping to jumpstart stalled wounds and lead them to full healing. We have two different formulations, one version with silver to help with wound infections and the other without, just for standard usage. Our amazing dressings have been applied to millions of patients over the past 20 years, and in just the past 4 years, we've seen our revenue in the US more than quadruple. More recently, we're seeing the tariffs that almost every other company is having to downgrade their earnings on. We're seeing this actually as a competitive advantage for Covalon, given that we're the largest North American collagen dressing manufacturer. Many of our competitors make in places like China, the UK, or Germany, and we're actively working with our strategic partners to capitalize on this. And we're in the early stages of partnering with a leading US wound care data analytics company on proving out a strong health economic argument for a product that we think could save Medicare lots of money, massive amounts of money. And then on the vascular access side, again, really big challenges. I talked about the bloodstream infections, the pain and suffering and skin trauma, and again, huge costs to treat. And we have a bit of a broader product line here, but two that I'll focus on are ValGuard and IV Clear. Our ValGuard product, it's a one-of-a-kind solution that prevents against gross contamination of the IV line, which can lead to bloodstream infections. You may be wondering, what's gross contamination? And we're kind of far enough away from dinner and far enough removed from lunch, but this is when patients have these gross contamination events. This could be vomit or feces or drool, and the bacteria in those gross contamination events can make their way into the IV connections and into the patient's bloodstream and cause an infection. And our product, our ValGuard product, helps seal up that connection while still allowing easy access in the case of an emergency. And our IV Clear product is a very unique IV securement dressing, unique on a couple of fronts. First, it's the gentle to skin silicone adhesive. If any of you have ever had an IV put in, the dressing that they put on was probably one of the standard of care acrylate adhesives, and it can, when it gets pulled off, it does a very good job of securing, but when it gets pulled off, it can cause skin damage. For patients like neonates or oncology patients or geriatrics, or even babies like me that just don't like having things ripped off my skin and causing damage, this is a game changer. And then the second area of differentiation or area that we're unique is we embed two different antimicrobials, both chlorhexidine and silver, into the adhesive to prevent against infections. Synergistic effects here between both. You know, the chlorhexidine kills certain bugs better than silver. Silver kills certain other bugs better. And here we've also had a ton of success, and you'll see in a few slides, our products are trusted by the best of the best. With a strong portfolio and active commercial focus, we've quintupled, 5x'd our US revenue here in the past 4 years. And since my arrival a little more than a year ago, we've really put significant focus on market development. And where we're starting to see the outcomes of this work, and it's really encouraging, we'll talk about this more in a couple of slides. And then a really significant market opportunity has been unfolding where we're seeing more focus on preventing complications on peripheral lines in addition to central lines. So central lines would be ones that start in the upper body here or in the upper arm, and the end of the IV ends up in your heart. Peripheral lines would be probably more typical of what people in this room have had in the wrist, and it's a little shorter. But it's a longer story than I can do justice here. But the crux of it is we really think this will be a big inflection point and increase the demand for our solutions. And it's a huge opportunity that Covalon is really poised to capitalize on. And then closing out the first part of the presentation here, this is our corporate and capital structure. We'll cover insider ownership and cash in a few slides, but worth noting that last year our strong performance led to a pair of top 50 company awards from both the TSX Ventures Exchange as well as the OTCQX. And then we're also happy to report that we're in the final stages of becoming DTC eligible, which will make it a lot easier for US shareholder trading. And since my arrival about a year and a bit ago, year and 4 months ago, we've seen the share price more than double. A good start, but we've really just barely scratched the surface on share price appreciation, which is a good segue to the next part of my presentation. So you're all attending this amazing conference, looking for unique insights from CEOs and other corporate executives to see whether you should or shouldn't invest in the companies that they lead. I'd like to speak to that head on, and I'm convinced that Covalon is a great investment opportunity. And over the next few minutes, you're going to see why, largely centered around the 6 things that you see on the screen. First, the healthcare space. You've heard from a number of companies that play in healthcare, and it's an amazing space. It's a critical need for everyone in this room, and literally everyone on the planet. A market opportunity that will never disappear and consistently grows each year as more and more patients need the treatments. The reality is that all around the world, people are living longer, but with that comes more serious illnesses and challenges that directly lead to the need for Covalon's amazing products. A big growth driver in our international business is that each year more and more people gain access to the good healthcare that people here in North America and Western Europe have enjoyed for their lifetimes. But that kind of middle class in developing is really booming up. And a last point around the consumables nature of our business. I absolutely love medical consumables. It's been a big part of my career. It definitely takes work to get hospitals and other providers to adopt them. But once you're in, it's almost like an annuity. Every year, every month, every quarter, every year, they just keep buying. And that's been a steady point here, and it's very true for Covalon. Second, we've got some really amazing products that are unique, differentiated, and patent protected. You heard a little bit about this earlier. The hospitals and the clinicians who use them absolutely love them. Game changers, like nurses giving us hugs in the hospital, game changers. And you can see a small sampling of some of the best in the world providers who count on Covalon and trust our products to deliver the best possible patient outcomes at their facilities. And through our partnering work, and oftentimes just even on their own accord, we see products that start in one area of the hospital for one particular use case, expand over time into other parts of the hospital, other use cases, and continue to grow and grow. It's a key part of our growth approach and growth strategy. Third, Covalon has an amazing team of dedicated and committed employees who, as I said, every day wake up and they're laser focused on our mission to help patients and the clinicians who treat them. Among our executive team, more than 100 years of medtech experience at both small and large healthcare companies. And for me personally, I've spent close to 20 years directly in the spaces that Covalon operates in, with leadership roles at both 3M Healthcare, and which is now Solventum. They spun off their healthcare business, and Becton Dickinson. Fourth, Covalon is a very stable, resilient, and profitable company with significant cash in the bank and absolutely no debt. Over the past few years, we've really turned things around and are delivering some elite performance. The companies that you're listening to this week, there are a lot of great companies, all great companies, a lot of different industries. And when you start to look at their performance in some critical areas, you can see. And so let's kind of walk through the funnel here. 105 presenting companies, and about half of them have grown their revenues each of the past 2 years. Covalon in the past 2 years, our 2-year CAGR is 31%. Really, really strong growth. And of those 49 companies, 21 of them are also had positive EBITDA in 2024 and have grown their EBITDA each of the last 2 years. Covalon, well, we've completely flipped our EBITDA in 2 years, about a $10 million improvement. And then of those 21, only 7 also had cash minus debt at more than 10% of their market cap. And Covalon has a great cash position here, $18 million in the bank, no debt, more than a quarter of our market cap, which gives us a ton of flexibility in what we can do. Super important in these crazy macroeconomic times. We've already started investing. Our earliest investments with kind of stabilizing our cash position and growing it to where we're at has been to invest in driving cost out through our manufacturing operations. But we're also looking at, and you're going to see me talk about this in a couple slides, around acquisitions. And certainly always on the radar, should we do a share buyback program or dividends. All good uses of cash. Right now, we really love having the flexibility that our current cash position gives us. And so you can see, right, 7 companies kind of meet all 3 of those criteria, right? That seems reasonable. Revenue growth, EBITDA growth, strong cash position. And the average EBITDA multiple for the 6 other companies is about 14x. Covalon currently around 6x. We really see our company as undervalued. And fifth, Covalon has a very focused and successful revenue growth strategy. You can see 3 key elements up here and some supporting points. So the first is around commercial advancement. And this is where our playbook is driving amazing growth well above the market growth rate. And we're expanding. We're expanding up the value chain in the US, where we've moved from selling one-on-one individual hospital facilities to IDN level. We talked in our last earnings call about securing our first system-wide approval for our ValGuard product that I talked about earlier. And while that doesn't immediately unlock the whole system, it definitely, it's a license to hunt. It's a much easier process, and it really helps accelerate our selling process. And then internationally, we're moving up internationally, where we're adding new countries and also new products into existing countries. And AI is definitely an area where we're choosing to invest in as a company. I'm convinced that it can be a force multiplier for us. We've got a small focus team, a great team, but many of our competitors are much, much larger. But AI is really starting to drive some impressive capabilities, and I think with future investment and focus can really help companies like Covalon punch well above our weight. And on the market development front, a really critical step for us. Wasn't really a big focus in the past, but as I came in, it's been a big area of focus. I've seen it in my past. And we've got an amazing pipeline of evidence generation actions in motion. Looking forward to sharing a pending outcome on one study in the near future. It's extremely exciting stuff and more to come. And our key opinion leader roster is 2x where it was a year ago. These are the noted industry superstars that we work with to help educate and communicate to our customers. And then moving to the innovation and business development side, a really strong innovation pipeline where the total of what we can do is 3x where we were at a year ago. And this has been helped by looking at innovation a little bit differently. New products are still an area of focus. It's a great area, but we're also looking at new use cases for existing products and new claims that we can pursue. And we've invested effort into strong work on the business development side of things, where we've got another robust pipeline of companies that we've been engaged with, looking at either potential partnerships, acquisitions, or other actions that can drive big increases in value for the company. And last, but certainly not least, Covalon is very fortunate to have an extremely accomplished and committed board of directors. This is a board with deep experience in business, investments, politics, finance, and clinical practice. They're a wealthy board who own more than half the shares of the company, a very high level of insider engagement, and in the past year alone, they've put almost $2 million of additional investment into the company. They're extremely skilled and fully committed to unlocking shareholder value through strategic alliances, acquisitions, and in the future, a US NASDAQ listing where valuations and volumes are, of course, significantly higher. So, to wrap up, I hope you've learned a little bit about the company and the amazing work we're doing. Now, the number one question that I get every day from current and prospective investors is, hey, Brent, where do you think Covalon's share price will be in the future? And I know a lot of CEOs shy away from providing a response, but not me, and here's my answer. First, I start with, I fully realize and accept that I have virtually no control over share price in the very short term, given world events, market volatility, and the normal up and downs of share price fluctuations. It's a pretty crazy world out there. If I could control that, I'd probably be doing a different role, but I do not control all those things. However, I do have control. I control what I can control, and I can control the future direction of this great company. And I feel really grateful because everything in my career, I think, has prepared me for this dream job I have landed as Covalon's CEO. Includes almost 20 years of experience in med tech, where in my last 4 roles, I was running billion-dollar-plus global businesses at 2 of the largest global med tech companies in the world. Excuse me. I'm really familiar with the healthcare space and the specific domains that Covalon competes in, and I know what it takes to win in these spaces. I didn't come to Covalon just to be a day-to-day operator. I came here to be an inspirational and transformative leader, and I think we're off to a good start. The share price doubling and then some in year 1. But I honestly believe that with a little time, a lot of hard work, and patience, Covalon shareholders haven't seen anything yet. We're just at the very start of something special, both in transforming compassionate, life-saving patient care and delivering spectacular shareholder returns. And so for the 6 reasons that I just shared, and many other reasons time didn't allow for, but would be happy to talk through in one-on-ones, I am absolutely confident that we can, on average, double the price of Covalon's shares in each of the next 5 years. Now, no stock advances in a precise straight line, but overall, these are the results that I feel I can deliver. Having said this, I think it's really important for you to know that, in my opinion, Covalon is not necessarily the perfect investment for everyone. For the day trader looking for a quick flip, or for the quantitative analyst fixated on achieving a full range of KPIs each quarter, or for the short-term investor easily distracted by the next big fad, Covalon probably isn't for you. But for a patient, thoughtful investor, and some of them are in this room here, I am confident that Covalon will pay off greatly over the next 5 years and beyond. And that's what I'm committed to. And if what I'm telling you resonates, I would ask you to join us on this amazing journey and invest in Covalon. Thank you. I look forward to continuing the conversations here in Las Vegas and beyond, and we'll open it up for any questions. Sean.
What would you say is the most misunderstood thing about your company?
Oh, that's a great question, Sean. I think part of it is around the vast majority of our shareholders are in Canada. And we're a Canadian-based company that operates 85% of our revenues in the US. And so while we're a Canadian MicroCap, we're growing strong, or we're laser focused on the US space. I think that's one. A second would be, and I'm trying to bring more of this, and you'll see this on each of our earnings calls. I'm trying to bring, we're all patients, or our family members have been patients, and I'm trying to bring more of that out. Like if I could bring every potential investor on a sales call with me and see the reaction from nurses and doctors, I think that's something we've got to work on. So I think that could be really powerful. Yeah, so two sides. On the wound care side, In the spaces we play in today, the biggest player is 3M Healthcare, now Solventum. So my old friends I worked there for about 15 years. And so we really like how we're positioned. They're bigger than us. They're also very distracted as they have gone through their spin-off and you know, no shortage of things if you Google where they're at and some of the challenges. And their biggest focus is on negative pressure wound therapy, which I'm super content to let them be distracted with the spin-off and the separation from 3M. Spend most of their time on the negative pressure side. That's not an area we compete in. So they're one. Medline would be another one. Also another bit of a distracted company. I think they're trying to resolve some China. A lot of their source of supply, not on this product, but a lot of their source of supply it comes out of China. And so they're actively working that. So we like where we're at. We think we have an excellent product that's priced at a right level. And so, yeah, that's kind of the competitive front on the wound care side. As for the balance sheet, yes, thank you. We love having cash. It gives us a ton of flexibility. We're always looking, you know, we'd like to, you know, acquisitions are opportunistic, but we're looking and we think that can unlock a lot of value for this company as well. So that's where we sit there. I know there's only a couple minutes left. There's a question back, right? Yeah, so, you know, if you look at some of the things, obviously they've got to grow substantially, right? And we've proven we can do that. I talked about our wound care business quadrupling in the last several years, our vascular access and surgical consumables quintupling over the last 4 or 5 years. And we've got to continue that organically. And then to achieve what I know myself, the board, all of our employees, and our shareholders want from a share price appreciation. Likely going to have to be inorganic activities as well. And then along the way, continue to drive costs out. I like our margins. We'd always love to bring them up even more and do so effectively. So at 3M, I was a vice president in charge of several different businesses over the years, including vascular access, wound care, surgical infection prevention, and then different mishmashes of them. I think I'm being told to stop, but we can talk afterwards. I've got a little bit of time. Hey, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.